by way of reading the syllabus, I'm not going to read to you from the syllabus. As a matter of fact, I try not to read from anything because I know that you can do that. So it seems like it's more placating than anything, or it's me talking down to you if I was to do that. What I really want to do here is just highlight a couple of the really big, important pieces. And then what I will invite you to do is go back afterwards, take a look at the syllabus, and if there are any questions or comments or concerns that you would have, to please go out and reach out to me about them, because I would be happy to explore whatever your concern is there. So on the the front page of the syllabus, really the most important things to note are on the left-hand side. There's a host of ways to get a hold of me, and there is also my office hours are listed on there. One quick word of caution: my office hours might change after the midterm. I'm not positive that they will, but they might. And if they do, I would put out an announcement to let you know that, hey, my office hours have changed. But for the most part, that is when I am literally sitting in front of a computer waiting for somebody to ping me and ask a question, to start a Google Hangout meet or a Zoom meeting or what have you. So literally, that is like office hours, because I will be trapped in my office. It may not be here. I may choose not to freeze. It is cold down here. It is 58 degrees in my dungeon office right this moment, and I am cold. So I may not be here, but I will be having office hours, like legitimate office hours. So please don't think that you can't reach out during those times or any other times. One quick note on when to reach out. I know I mentioned it in the overview, or the welcome rather, message above, and I will mention it here, is, these points of contact do follow me every place. So I have for you listed here my cell phone number so that you can get a hold of me via cell phone. One thing I will say is I also have a 5-year-old who goes to bed. For you and me, it would be early, but he's usually asleep by 8 o'clock. And if by reaching out after 8 o'clock you have woken the 5-year-old, that makes my life hard, which means that I have to take a swift and terrible justice out upon you, and I'll find a way to do that. So can we call it between like 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Those are fine hours with which to reach out. But if it's after that, please feel free to shoot me a message, because I will be able to get back to you the next morning. That would be better. Swift and terrible justice otherwise. So you have those opportunities to get a hold of me, and also you can see my office hours where I'm literally just sitting here like, is a student going to ask a question? That happens there. The page number 2, the required material. Yes, it is required material. Yes, we'll use the text every week. You do not have to get the version of the text that has the My Programming Lab associated with it. You can get a used version of the text, but please make sure that it is the 7th edition of the text. There are copies of the 8th version that are available. That one is too new. And I'm not really pleased with all of the questions in there. So we use the 7th edition. If for whatever reason you get a hold of the 6th edition, please, one further note here. The version of the 6th and the 7th edition that you can find with a simple Google search, for example, for PDF copy, 7th edition Intro to Java, those do not have all of the required material in there. They are missing questions, and actually I believe it tops out at chapter 7, so that's not going to do a whole lot of good for you to have those. So just double check on that. So yes, you will need the textbook, and you will need the textbook ASAFP. We are going to use an online platform called Replit, repl.it. the benefit to using Replit is, if you haven't used it yet, actually we here in the CIS department use it for C++. We use it for Java here. Clearly we'll use it in PHP, in JavaScript, because it's a fantastic way for us to be able to communicate with you and back, to us with your assignments. The benefit to using Replit is as follows. Number one, it doesn't matter if you are on a Windows machine, a Mac, or a Chromebook, you'll be able to do the assignment perfectly, which is fantastic. The other really big benefit to using Replit is, if you have a question on something, you can send me your Replit link. And what I can do is put comments in line with that code and send it back to you. As opposed to, what has to happen with Java is every time you want to run it, you have to compile it. So that takes time. The older your machine is, the longer that will take. If you make changes, you have to recompile it, therefore making your job longer every week. When you send me a file, you have to zip that whole folder structure together and send it to me. Then I have to download that folder structure, open it up in something like Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, or Brackets, or what have you. And actually we'll talk a bunch about the different kinds of IDEs that you can use to do Java development here after this video. But at any rate, there's a lot of layers of bullcrap to get through before you and I could communicate on a piece of code, whereas Replit, you share with me a URL. And irrespective of whether or not I'm here on my iMac, I'm on an iPad, I'm on my phone, it doesn't really matter. I can get back to you with real code in line in something that will work irrespective of where you are parked or where I am parked. So it makes it fantastic. So I'm going to mention it in the Replit videos later, but I'm going to mention it here as well. Do sign up for a Replit account. The account saves you when your Chrome tab crashes and your generated URL is gone forever. That's a problem. Whereas if you were working in an assignment as yourself signed into Replit, if Chrome crashes, you simply sign back into Replit and keep working with your assignment. That makes it fantastic. I mentioned here in the syllabus a bunch of code editors that will help you do Java work. Potentially, again, we will use Replit, but to give you the full experience of Java programming, we'll talk here and again throughout the semester about some of these IDEs. So we'll talk about Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, Xcode, Replit clearly, Atom, and a whole bunch of other editors. So those are there simply as backups, because I know a lot of us have less than robust internet. Should something go terribly wrong, at the very least you could have Atom, Xcode, Visual Studio Code, and help you do the Java development that way. So I believe in, gravy on the icing, ensuring the insurance policy here for that. I know you are primarily concerned, I suppose, with the methods of assessment, which means how am I going to grade you? Assignments are 40%. So those are the end of chapter exercises, essentially. Quizzes and tests, there are 2 of them, midterm and the final. That is all. 20%, you do the math, 10% each. Project demonstrations, these are really in place of, the testing that you would see in a normal class. So these are after you have completed, the work in the end of chapter exercises. What can you do to take and apply that in a larger, more impactful way? So those are the project demonstrations. And finally, 5% for participation. I have here in the first week, in the 4th week, in the 8th week, in the 12th week, and the 16th week, there are discussions. So you do the math, that is roughly 1.25% per piece, but that's not insignificant when you're looking at securing a grade. So that is how everything is broken down in the way of points. You can read through the general procedures or expectations, but I will tell you that the following things are absolutely true. Number one is don't cheat, I'll catch you. Your code is like a fingerprint. Your code is like, a voice. It clearly communicates to me after the first couple of weeks that this code belongs to you because I have seen how you code. And when all of a sudden, number one, the code that you start submitting matches code I know comes from online, that angers Eric entirely. And I will, look, like after the last, 4 semesters now that we have spent doing, because it was spring, summer, fall, winterim, in this, social distancing, quarantine, whatever darkest timeline we're living through here, it's not just you, that propensity to cheat has gone up, which means just frickin' don't do it. Like, I would rather have you not do an assignment than waste your time and mine in me going to find the URL for where you got the code from so that I can give you some idiot cosmic spanking on whatever your grade was. Don't waste your time doing it, because I know full well by the time you'll want to cheat what your coding signature looks like. That's more time than I want to spend on that, but I'm telling you, from me and from all of your other instructors, you can go to NPR, you can go to any place. Every instructor knows that the cheating propensity has gone up because of the anonymity of the online platform here. It doesn't work. We know what you sound like, whether or not it's in writing or in code. So don't do it. If you're going to work in project teams, just let me know who you are so that I can grade you appropriately, right? So that I don't screw up and, for whatever reason, deduct points in one place where I wouldn't have in another. I do not mind if you guys work in project teams. You will notice that you can still see the People tab open in Canvas, so that means you can see who else is in here. You can work with other people. If you would like, reach out to me and I'll let you know how multiplayer works with Replit so that you can actually code together while apart. It's fantastic. I don't think working together means you cheated. I think working together is actually the key to being successful in college, because that's how you learn. You test the boundaries of what you know, you assimilate what other people know, and then you grow together faster. Fantastic. Just let me know. That's all I need. You won't be able to work in project teams on the midterm or the final or your discussion postings, but everything else you can work in project teams on. So I encourage you to do that. As far as late work goes, I am going to stick to the late work policy. I will take any assignment up to and including 1 week late at a 50% of earned points deduction. I am not trying to be unreasonable. It's just that every single one of us, you as students, me as instructor, we're dealing with extra bullshit. And if I don't stick to the late work policy, it essentially punishes the student who had bullshit but managed to get through okay. And then that doesn't work. However, let me tell you this. If you work with me on an extension for something, I am willing to do that because I understand that life happens. So the due dates for everything, because everything is an online course, is Saturday to Saturday. There's no right answer here for when I should do it. Should I do it Monday to Monday? Technically speaking, it should be Saturday to Saturday, so I stuck with that so that this class can be the earliest one that you have to submit, and then other ones will come through on Sunday and Monday. It's the best I could figure. So Saturday to Saturday. If you reach out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I am willing to work with you on a due date for that. By the time Saturday at noon rolls around and you're like, hey, I didn't think I was going to take this long. Yeah, okay, you're late now. I'm much less willing to work with a due date the day of. But, Thursday and before, even potentially on Friday, reach out and we can work on negotiate on a plan for when it is that you can hand something in. But otherwise, I really am sticking to that late policy. After 1 week of lateness, I just mark them as zeros, because I'm not trying to create this weird inundation of work where you can hand stuff in until way, way late. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for me. It's just not a successful way to do things, so we do not do that. You do, however, have a one-time 24-hour grace period where the stuff hits the fan and it's totally a wreck. Just message me and say, I need to use the 24-hour grace period. No questions asked. You get one of them. So you get a mulligan here. Attendance, regular attendance, as far as the online variety here is concerned, means that you hand stuff in on time. That's what I'm using as regular attendance. So if there's a week where you haven't handed in anything in, that's going to be in absence unless you talk to me about why that is. What we're trying to do here is not have, a situation where somebody hasn't been working towards completing the material. When we get to the midterm, we want an ironclad way of saying, let's try again next time and help you drop the course. There are so many barriers to being successful in a non-pandemic year that we're really trying to help you be successful here. And one of the ways we can do that is to keep you on target with your progress, and the best way to do that is counting handing in material as attendance. So be aware that that's how I will count you as having attended. Students who miss more than 2 classes, I'm going to reach out to you and we're going to have to talk about, what are you doing to maintain currency here with the course, because we keep on moving, and by the time you've missed 2 classes, you're already looking at 15% of the course. And that's a lot when it comes to the knowledge you need to move forward. So these are conversations that we may not have, you and me, but we may. So there you have it. You can see the topic outline, which is probably very, very mostly correct moving forward. The topic outline as listed here may change depending on things that happen, because if this hasn't been a weird year, I don't know what has been. So don't think of it as written in stone. Think of it as a loose guide post. So go back and read all the other things in there. If there's any nuance that I forgot, you can see it in there. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. And again, that's on the front page of your syllabus. There are 1,000 different ways to contact me. And don't say I never gave you a way to contact me.